Welcome to our training on FPM Significant Event, Emergency, and Disaster Incident Reports and Continuity of Operation Plans. Today, we will be discussing our field and headquarters reporting processes for emergencies, disasters, and public safety-related incidents and plans to ensure continuity of operations following these events. I am joined today by several of our most experienced disaster response and recovery staff at HUD who will lead the training. First, we have Mr. Tony Hebert. Mr. Hebert is FPM's Disaster Recovery Coordinator for all of HUD's 10 regions. Mr. Jim Wallace, he's our Emergency Management Specialist, Office of Disaster Management and National Security. Mr. Steve Eggleston, our Des Moines Field Office Director. Mr. Henry Comas, he's our FPM Region 2 Disaster and Coop Coordinator. For some of you, this briefing today will be a refresher. For others who may be new to this work, the information provided will give you a clearer understanding for how to report information on emergencies and disasters to HUD headquarters. The training will also explain the linkage between field office and headquarters Coop Plans, the status of efforts to determine mission essential functions, and how these elements come together in a unified continuity plan for the department. If you have any questions after viewing this training, please send them to Tony Hebert. Mr. Hebert will ensure that your questions get routed appropriately and are answered. Mr. Hebert, please take it away.
Thank you, Mr. Pagone. The Office of Field Policy and Management is responsible for coordination of emergency preparedness, response, and recovery efforts in the field. Regional and field office leadership is tasked to submit office closure notifications and disaster incident reports. This information is shared with others at headquarters across the divisions through the Office of Disaster Management and National Security and may include our Deputy Secretary. Our field leadership are also tasked with establishing, testing, and implementing continuity of operations plans. Now, taken together, this incident reporting and Coop plans ensure the continuity of HUD's essential functions in times of emergencies and disasters. Across this work, our priorities are the safety of staff, communications with the grantees, and, of course, the continuity of our work. We're also very focused on damages to HUD's housing and community development portfolio and rehousing HUD clients. Now, in terms of incident reporting, report submission is determined by the FOD, Field Office Director, unless requested by headquarters. The triggers for determining if an incident report is required fall largely on the field office leadership, but when you make that decision, you should take the following into consideration. Did the disaster or emergency result in significant property destruction across impacted communities, or is it a threat to HUD operations and staff? And would it require broader HUD engagement on housing recovery efforts? These are things, when you're looking at whether you should submit a report, these are things that we want you to consider. Now, when you submit those reports, you should use the template that we've issued. These are short and to the point bullets that are a high-level brief for leadership. The template includes an overview. It has a section for impacts to HUD facilities and staff. It has a section on impacts to HUD programs. And it also has a section for HUD's headquarters disaster situation report. Now, when you send in your situation report, your incident report for an emergency or disaster, you always include the first three sections, okay? But Section 4 is only completed when requested by headquarters, and we only use that for big disasters where a situation report is being generated. Jim Wallace is going to talk more about that a little later. Now, the most important thing in your situation report, your incident report, as I mentioned, obviously accounting for all our staff, but we're really going to be focused like a laser beam on any important or major damages and displacement across HUD's inventory. Now, for routine office closures, like inclement weather, things of that sort, that wouldn't trigger a submission of the emergency and disaster incident report. Those office closures would continue to be reported through email notifications to HUD leadership. Next slide, please. When you submit the report, make sure you submit it within the body of an email. We get a lot of folks submitting the reports as attachments. We would greatly appreciate it if you could submit the report in the body of an email so Mr. Burgone can and we can review it, make sure it's okay, and forward it to all the different parties that need to see it. Again, use the current template. Sometimes we get folks using templates from 2 or 3 years ago. Use the current template. And if you have questions about that, please don't hesitate to contact me. I'm happy to share that with you. We have seen vast improvements on what our field office directors and regional leadership have been doing over the last fiscal year in terms of reporting. Far fewer times have we had to revise reports or educate people on what they should be submitting. It seems like everyone is getting it and is able to provide what our leadership needs. Now, you submit these reports ideally within 24 hours from the incident. We understand for bigger disasters it's going to take you more time, but the goal should be to quickly send something up to give leadership at least some visibility of what's going on. And at the end of reporting, you're going to be sending out a final closeout report, which clearly states this is going to be the last report. Sometimes that's your second report. Other times you're doing it for 6 months. It just depends on the size of the disaster. Now, the report should be sent to Mr. Burgone, copying me, Tony Hebert, and we'll make srouted that it gets routed around to all the different headquarters offices. We want this to be internal to FPM until Mr. Burgone approves and distributes to divisions at headquarters. So please, there's going to be work that you do with your staff and the directors in your local office. That's expected. But in terms of the distribution, when you send it to Mr. Burgone, that should be an internal FPM document. And then he will share it around to the HUD Emergency Operations Center, the DepSec, Public Affairs, all the other GDASs, et cetera. So please adhere to that so that we can make sure that our leadership within FPM is getting this information first. I'm going to hand it off to Jim Wallace from the Office of Disaster Management and National Security. He's going to walk you through what's done at headquarters with reports once they're submitted from the field. Jim?
Hello, everyone. My name is Jim Wallace. I'm going to be continuing a little bit more on what Tony was saying about the situation report. As you know, HUD has an emergency operations center that operates out of the headquarters Weaver building. We operate between 7 and 5 p.m. We don't have a 24-hour operation. But we publish some documents daily, the first one I like to talk about is the daily summary. The summary report provides a summary of significant national events with disaster focus. So at 8 o'clock in the morning, FEMA sends the National SITREP report to all the EOCs across the federal government, and the whole main portions of our summary report come from FEMA because it has a whole community, whole across the nation flavor to it. But it contains any details. It also contains details of HUD regional and field office events with current impacts on HUD operations. That's very important. And FEMA emergency declaration activity. We get a report every morning from FPM of any incidents that have occurred in situations that could be power outages, flooding of field offices or regional offices, anything that occurs, and we put that in in our daily summary report, and that provides a great situational awareness for the senior leadership here at the headquarters. It's published every workday morning. We try to get it out by 9 a.m. We also, during disaster operations, have a HUD disaster situation report, and we work jointly in the production of this report with FPM. It's published during disaster events to look at the significant scope and impact of the disaster. The last one, you might remember the Louisiana flooding and the Hurricane Matthew. And we work here at headquarters with the disaster management group that convenes to kind of coordinate HUD operations in the field. The SITREP contains an incident summary, emergency disaster declaration summary, priorities for HUD, and regional summary. We get this. We are online from the disaster management group with the regional offices, and we get a lot of great information that way for the report. And then the program impact summaries come in from the individual offices like PIH, Housing, CPD. And we collate that together in a situational awareness report. And it's published every day that the disaster is going on. The regional summary section, of course, the most important thing is the top 3 priorities for the HUD regions: employee safety, office closures, and field offices within the region that's being affected, and then any outreach that HUD is doing for state, local, and congressional partners. During the disaster, the results and the activation, as I said, in the disaster management group, the HEOC will reach out to the impacted regions also for additional information when needed, and then impacts of HUD programs are consolidated and reported by each program office. Okay, I'd like to turn it back over to Tony at this time.
Thank you, Jim. We're going to shift gears now to Coop Plans. If you have any questions about our emergency and disaster incident reporting process and how that connects to what's done at headquarters in terms of disseminating that information, please don't hesitate to contact me. My email's on each of the slides. In terms of Coop, this is a big piece for us in the field. Our Coop efforts are guided by national security presidential directives, homeland security presidential directives, national continuity policies, and federal continuity directives. All of these set standards federal family in terms of what continuity plans are established in the field. Jim's going to walk you through more of this in a little bit, but in terms of what we do at the field office level, each regional and field office must have a Coop plan, okay? And this must be prepared through our Coop plan template. That's the same for every office. You put in the individual field office information. Every field office uses the same template. We've issued it out fiscal year 15. We've made a few changes to it over the years, but it's essentially the same. And it is Federal Continuity Directive compliant, as judged by our friends in the Office of Disaster Management and National Security at HUD headquarters, Jim Wallace included. They review it each year to make sure that we continue to be compliant with all the requirements. Now, in terms of the field office director, okay, the field office director plays a very important role as it relates to our Coop efforts in each of the field offices. FPM oversees the Coop plans. This is different from the building emergency plans that are handled by the Office of Administration. The Coop plan is an umbrella for all activities, including the building emergency plans, okay? So the field office director is responsible for the development and execution of the field office Coop plan. The field office director engages program directors in the development and execution of these plans. Now, it is mandatory for management staff in the field office to participate in these activities. And we need to ensure, back to headquarters, that we've trained and tested these plans every year. Every year we do that. Now, what are these plans? What are they composed of, basically? Okay, so the main elements of these plans include the essential functions of the office, delegations of authority, orders of succession, continuity facilities and telework, essential records management, human resources, tests, training, and exercises of the plan itself, and devolution and reconstitution. We're going to talk about a lot of these things during the rest of the presentation. I'm not going to go into great detail here. Mr. Wallace, Mr. Eggleston, Mr. Comas will be talking in greater detail. A couple things I want to emphasize, though, as it relates to those Coop plans. Each office should have an emergency relocation site, okay, a physical site that the emergency relocation team could go to if needed. But our goal going forward, is to incorporate as much telework as possible as a continuity strategy, okay? We recognize that telework is going to be one of our principal vehicles for maintaining continuity, but we need that physical location as well in the plan. Each office must also list another HUD office for devolution. We are going to have greater emphasis on devolution going forward. Mr. Wallace and Mr. Eggleston will both touch on that. And our goal ultimately is to map all devolution locations and exercise that process. We've had discussions about what we're going to do about that going forward over the next year or two. I'm not just talking about where headquarters devolves. I'm talking about where all the different functions across all of our 65 field offices evolve and having a good understanding of that. Now, Jim Wallace is going to walk you through how all of these elements on the field level connect to the Coop Plan at headquarters. He's also going to get into the efforts at headquarters to map all the different essential functions. Jim?
Thank you, Tony. I'd just like to continue with your chain of thought there. The headquarters departmental continuity plan is not just one plan. It's made up of a family of plans, which consist of the headquarters continuity plan, all 10 regional plans, and all 60-some field office plans. So when FEMA looks at our program, it's not just centralized on the headquarters departmental plan. Almost daily contact we have with the National Continuity Program Office at FEMA. We attend all the monthly interagency continuity working groups with state, commerce, HHS, and we get the latest information of the requirements for the program. We take it back. We are wrapping those requirements into the new version of the headquarters Coop plan that we're working on right now. I know I've been saying that, but we've had a lot of things on our plate in ODM&S with the disaster support and other events. But now, after Eagle Horizon has just ended on June 22nd, the Eagle Horizon continuity exercise, we can dedicate more time to it. And so our headquarters departmental plan is to outline the policy and all the 11 annexes and those essential parts of the plan that should be in the regional and field office plans. It's kind of an umbrella plan that you can use as a resource to develop your plans. And we work closely with FPM to send a template. When changes occur, because FCD1 changed, we send that information down also. The role of the Office Continuity Implementation Plans is very important because that outlines how each individual office in headquarters, PIH, CPD, housing, are going to implement their portion of the plan. So we stress that those plans are updated also. As I said, we're looking at headquarters activation and response operations matrix this year in the plan. It's kind of a table that has senior leadership. It gives them options for what to do for a low, moderate, or a significant high-impact event. In the throes of a disaster, you have to be able to make quick decisions. So we're going to have that matrix in there. Tony said also we're going to put a greater emphasis on devolution and start to work closely with Region 4, which is the devolution site for the headquarters, to reestablish and reactivate that program. I know we have sites out there, and Steve Eggleston will talk about that, but now we're going to get down to the portion of actually staffing the devolution emergency response groups. The significant event that happened last July 2016 at the end of the Obama administration, they published a new Presidential Policy Directive 40 that supersedes the old NSPD 50 and HSPD 20 documentation. It happens at the end of every 8-year administration. This really sets the policy for the National Continuity Program for all executive branch agencies. So FEMA, using PPD 40, then not rewrote, but updated Federal Continuity Directive 1, and they published that on January 17th. So we've been trying to assimilate that information plus plan for Eagle Horizon. Now we can get more into the changes on FCD1, which are not that significant, but need to be put into our headquarters continuity plan. They also revised Federal Continuity Directive 2, which contains guidance on mission essential functions, and they just put that out in June this last month. So we used the FCD1 directive that came out to update the Coop implementation plan template that we sent to FPM and Tony in early 2017. I know we all know about the HUD Handbook 3205.1. We're looking at that, and that provided the continuity policy, kind of a scaled-down version of FCD1 for the department. And there are many handbooks in the department, and it implemented within the regional and field offices the provisions of Federal Continuity Directive 1 and PPD 40. But the handbook, we're looking at that, we're reevaluating it to see if there is a need to continue to use that and continue to update it, since the FCD1 is very clear, the new version, and the new version of FCD2 is very clear, plus very concise policy in PPD 40. On mission essential functions and business process analysis, we started that program in May 2013, and it has taken about 3.5 years to analyze all the mission essential functions and essential supporting activities for HUD, but it was a good comprehensive analysis. So I'm happy to report that the program offices have completed their MEF and BPA templates. The MEF statements is what mission essential functions has to be done by HUD to support our clients and the nation. And the business process analysis template is how those functions are done, how many people are needed, how many, any information that's needed to do the essential function. The support offices have completed their essential supporting activity in BPA templates. So the outcome now is a single set of essential functions for each offices approved by the assistant secretaries and GDASs. So the assistant secretaries approve the MEFs, the GDAS officers actually approve the BPA templates because their mission is operations. The regional and field office program offices should request copies of the MEF and BPA templates from their respective offices. There's no need for regional and field offices to do their own essential functions, because if you're in CPD, housing, you do those same functions, but only at the regional and state level. This is it's just a quick slide on the actual definitions from PPD 40 of what a national essential function is. Those are select functions that are necessary to lead and sustain the nation during a catastrophic event. Primary mission essential functions are those that must be continuously performed to support and implement the NEFs. We may submit a PMEF, but that's still in adjudication whether we're going to pursue that again. We think that in the areas of commerce, economics, and finance, because of our Ginnie Mae mission, HUD may have a valid reason to have an actual PMEF. But that's about a year down the road. The definition of mission essential functions are those functions directly related to accomplishing an organization's mission as set forth in statutory executive charter. So I like to think of it as externally facing. These are housing, CPD, PIH, any essential function that externally facing, supporting the U.S. public and HUD clients. Essential supporting activities are those internally facing functions, such as traditionally the CIO, the human resources, all of those that support the MEFs. This is a slide that lists the actual names of the 8 national essential functions, and you see them: preserve our constitutional form of government, provide visible leadership, protect the homeland. But the 4 departmental level MEFs that are listed on the slide are actually a roll-up of all of our 23 MEFs. We kind of blended them together into categories, and you see how departmental level MEF 1 is directly supported NEF number 7. And then it goes right down into improve the quality of life, build strong and resilient communities, support and recover communities from disasters. So when the White House looks at HUD, they look at kind of these departmental level MEFs. When we look at our mission essential functions listed out, and these are concatenated or shortened, all of the MEFs are listed on, well, this is one slide, and you see CPD, fair housing, Ginnie Mae, but it's not the complete statement of the MEF. We do have a complete list of MEFs and ESAs that we can send down to send to FPM and then to the regions that list the full statement. But for the purpose of this slide, we kind of shortened each one. Now, there's 23 mission essential functions right now for the department. These were painstakingly put together through groups of I like to call the graybeards of the department of each big house that didn't just go into a closet and come out and say, here it is. This took months and months of work to actually ascertain the essential function and then work it through staff work to get it approved by the leadership. Not listed, because for timing, we have 29 essential supporting activities. So that concludes my portion of the brief. ODM&S is available at any time. If you send any questions you have, please contact FPM, and we're happy to provide any information we can. So I'd like to turn it over now to Steve Eggleston, who is going to talk about devolution planning.
Thank you, sir. As Tony mentioned, in our Coop plan, we do have a section for devolution. As Jim mentioned, we have some detailed essential functions. Devolution allows each regional or field office to conduct their essential functions regardless of the type of event. There's three really basic objectives to devolution. We want to make sure that we have a designated site that we can easily facilitate the transfer of essential functions, and consider what triggers we may have for devolution activation. Basically, there's two: active, where a conscious decision is made by the leadership, or there's passive, when events prevents leadership from initiating that activation of the devolution plan. There are several items. I'll quickly list just a few of these that each plan should detail. One of them is all points of contact at each devolution site. Specify how and when a transfer of essential functions will take place, and what essential functions will continue through the reconstitution of the original office. On the last line, it talks about small offices. Sometimes when we think about emergency relocation sites, small offices, and I'll use Fargo, North Dakota as an example. Devolution is a much more efficient methodology of continuing essential functions, which is the purpose of the Coop plan. Next slide, please. As stated, the National Coop Plan, the headquarters Coop Plan, has devolution sites listed on this map. This is available through Tony and Jim if you should wish to have it. Please note where some of the larger programs are. Housing is in Region 2. PIH is in Region 7, Kansas City. FPM will be devolved to Atlanta. That's all I have on devolution at this time. I'd like to introduce Mr. Henry Comas, Senior Management Analyst with FPM, to talk next. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. I'll be presenting on Coop Lessons Learned. Coop is anytime, with or without warning. A successful Coop plan maintains the highest level of readiness and is capable of implementation with or without warning within 12 hours after activation, and must sustain operations for up to 30 days. And after a Coop event, we need to reconstitute back. We reconstitute back to our primary office. And based on reconstitution, we need to coordinate rebuilding activities at the facility. We need to restore human capital, which is important, making sure our people are back. Our communications is up and running. Our information technology is up, our computers. We have proper space allowance and personnel replacement. During a disaster, some people won't be coming back, so HR is very important in regards to our reconstitution. Next slide, please. We conduct an annual inspection of our alternative Coop site. This ensures the alternative Coop site location is ready for a 30-day period for all Coop activations. And as part of that, we support a procedures checklist. As part of that checklist, we make sure that we have an annual meeting with our Coop point of contact on the other side. For us here in Region 2, that'll be our Newark Coop site, and we make sure the individual there is familiar with our needs at the Coop site. And we have an orientation and tour of the facility. We need to be aware of the location, where the vital records are located, the databases, and other reference materials pre-positioned at that Coop site for use by our emergency relocation group members or ERG personnel during Coop operations. We inspect the required number of desks, workstations, telephones, and we must properly configure computers, printers, and copiers. And they're available in a proper location to support the conduct of the Coop operations. And the New York, here at the Region 2, we utilize a training room in the Newark field office The training room has up and ready computers. It's a hot Coop site, as they say, with proper phones. So when those ERG members are positioned, they have a computer in front of them with a screen and are active and operational immediately. We also, based on our annual inspection, ensure that the physical security is available. We make sure that the security at the site, may be GSA or even a private management company, has a list of the personnel needing to have access to the facility, and we review that with the security company on an annual basis, making sure that the ERG members' names are up and on the list. Also, we have to make sure that we have essential resources such as water and food. The recommendation is having some water for a 3-day period, but we tend to recommend that you have it for 7. You really don't know how long the activities might go on. Next slide, please. Reviewing the procedures to reconfigure the equipment and facilities as necessary to accommodate the needs of the ERG personnel. Now, ERG personnel is very important. One of the lessons learned here is that we need to really familiarize their role and their plan. We have them participate in all of our Coop testing and all of our exercise, and especially all of our after-action sessions. And what we recommend for all of our ERG people is that they have a family disaster plan and they have a go kit just in case of a Coop activation. Because if their families aren't prepared, they will not be able to engage fully in their essential services in a disaster. So we stress to make sure that they have that go bag and they're ready to go. And with that training and go bag, we help to ensure that the family's safety and security in the event of activation, and stress that they need to report to the facility in a timely manner. Also, communications is important. We have to make sure that we develop and maintain the communication plan for all of our employees. Regular and accurate, effective communication to our employees. We got to make sure they're updated. Anytime we have a new employee that comes in as part of either the ERG succession planning or is providing an essential service, we make sure that we have their personal and their primary and alternate phone numbers and email addresses to make sure that they're part of the Coop Plans so we can contact them. And also at the Coop site, we have to make sure that our telephones, email, cell phones, IT, and especially social media and HUD website is up, and that we have space for face-to-face meetings at the Coop site. Next slide, please. What we try to do is that some Coop sites don't have, like here at Region 2, we have a understanding with GSA for our Coop locations. But in the Newark office, it's a private ownership. So sometimes we run into having a memorandum of understanding. And under this memorandum of understanding, there are certain requirements of what workstations can be used, what departments are sharing that work site also in the Coop, and other requirements. So we recommend that you work out the MOU properly with the property manager of building ownership and sign by the contract and review the contract. There might be some third-party data operations that you might be able to tap into based on the building's Verizon lines. You might tap into your Coop site. You want to make sure who's responsible for that and any other mechanisms for sharing resources. Also, if there's a 30-day stay, we want to make sure that those ERG members have a safe and healthy location. You want to be able to provide them for any hotel rooms if they're staying for that 30-day period inside the area, not providing the hotel rooms, but referring them to different hotels in the area, what restaurants are in the area, especially fast food. Next slide, please. And with that, I just want to do a quick review. Be capable to implement without warning, to be operational in 12 hours after activation, be operation sustained for 30 days. Make sure you test your Coop plan and test the equipment at the Coop site. Making sure that your IT is up in operation, you're partnering with them, and looking at your reconstitution procedures, and always maintain and review your Coop capabilities. That is the end of my presentation, and with that, I would like to hand it over to Mr. Burgon.
Thank you, Mr. Comas. We really appreciate the work done by you and others in the field to prepare for and respond to events that threaten the continuity of HUD operations. Please continue your diligence across these matters and let us know if you need any technical assistance or support. Mr. Hebert and others on our headquarters team are ready and able to support your efforts. Thank you for the time and your commitment. Please continue to do the good work of the mission of the department, and may God bless you all. Thank you.